I was teaching one-sided bias living. I was teaching the fantasy. And so it's important to even know that as I was teaching that, I was neglecting the negative part of myself. So what Life So Beautifully did was brought me into the darkness. And it was in that darkness that I actually started accepting all parts of myself. When I saw parts of myself, I started feeling in the darkness, I started feeling light.
You are now listening to the podcast where authors inspire listeners to become authors, the Going North Podcast. I'm your host, certified self-leadership trainer, best-selling author, and book enthusiast, DomBrightmon. And you're going to be listening to a different author that will inspire you to join the business of immortality, known as authorship. Now let the fun begin. Today's episode is sponsored by book number 2 from DomBrightmon, Stay the Course, The Elite Performer's 7 Secret Keys to Sustainable Success. It is the field guide to help unleash the elite performer that is inside of you. Cop it today on Amazon.com or heading over to DomBrightmon.com and snag it in book, ebook, and audiobook so that way you can take it on the go and get yourself on the go to your northbound success. And today on the highlight reel builder for authors known as the Going North Podcast, we got another super special, awesome human for you today, courtesy of one of my favorite websites on planet Earth right now, known as podmatch.com, where podcast guests get to connect with podcast hosts. And if they're cool, they're freaking in. As today's guest is cooler than 2 cucumbers a day, because we got one heck of a super special, awesome human baby, because today's guest is a former Army tank commander, y'all. So that's right, indeed, making things explode, baby, and running things over. You gotta love to see that. And now he's a freaking healer, entrepreneur, quantum life coach, and esteemed national lecturer. So let's give it up for the C to the G, Dr. Vitamin C himself, Dr. Cody Golman. How you doing today, Dr. Cody?
Hi, thanks for having me, Dom. Great to meet you and great to be with you.
Great to have you here, my man. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. It's always great to have the veterans on the show. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. So how's that life for you, my man? Because I think you joined at 17 somehow through some kind of loophole or something and just stayed for a few years.
Yeah, back then, yeah, I mean, this is what, 1996, but I was still in high school and got to join. And yeah, I think they used to let you join, if you had your last 3 years of high school, you could join ahead of time. I don't think they do that anymore, but yeah, so it's an amazing experience. It's really what led me on my healing path and why I do what I do now with others. Of course, when you first join on a tank specifically, there's different jobs in a tank, and I was the bullet kid. So I was throwing these bullets. The bullets are 100 pounds a piece, and the bullet hole is about a foot over my head. And so you can shoot, 2 to 3 bullets a minute. So after really months of doing this, I started having headaches and numbness in my hands. And I had a heart palpitation, asthma prior. So I went to the doctors, went to specialists, and they kept telling me, nothing's wrong with you. But my hands started getting more and more numb, losing feeling, and at that time I was 18, 19. It started to happen over the course of time. And I basically said, man, something's weird. They gave me some pills, but that's without a diagnosis. They couldn't find what was going on. And so finally, I reluctantly went to a chiropractor. My mom said, your great grandfather was a World War II pilot, and he went to a chiropractor. And so I went there. The guy did an x-ray, found a pinched nerve in my neck. And I said, that can't be true. I've already seen a neurologist. I've already been to a cardiologist. And he said, they don't check for those things. It did an adjustment with me, and nerve signals came back into my hand after months and months and months of numbness and loss of feeling. Instantly came back. And over the course of time, my heart palpitation went away, my asthma went away, and it took me a while to figure this out, but I was at the University of New Orleans at the time. And basically I looked up in a book and I found the same nerve that goes to your heart and lungs also controls your arms and hands. And most people don't know this. And this is what initially started me on the path of, what if I would have taken those pills that the neurologist gave me, the cardiologist gave me, the specialist gave me, and didn't decide to find my own path? what would have happened? And what happens is by 50 and 60 and 70, you end up in a nursing home on a bag of medications because you never truly look for the cause. So those principles right in the beginning of what I decided I would actually look, I would first of all help people truly heal. And secondly, actually look for the cause of problems. So that whole thing moved me into being a chiropractor, and why I've created the Fast 40 weight loss company is that most people have been hypnotized into inaccurate information about their body, and they don't know how their body works. And so that's really been my mission, my passion, is to truly create a healthy body, because without health, you have nothing. Health is our ultimate wealth.
Amen to that. That's right, indeed. Health is indeed our ultimate wealth. That it is. That it is. You're so right about that too. And it's actually kind of entertaining listening to some of your past conversations where you mentioned you're going to a chiropractor. That's something you wanted to avoid, but to be honest, it's actually something you probably needed from the beginning. And I'm guessing that's what you do now too, in addition, right? Or did I get that part wrong?
No, you're right, man. So I've retired from that. I had a wellness center that included chiropractic and physical therapy and all kinds of healing things. And I had people heal from diabetic conditions, cancers, breast cancers, all kinds of stuff. And over the course of time, the way and I retired from that about 7 years ago. I loved it, but what I started finding was my patients were getting healthy, but they were doing these unhealthy weight loss programs. Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, ketogenic. They're doing all these programs, intermittent fasting, that were absolutely not sustainable. And this is the most important thing. I had no interest in weight loss. But when I started seeing my patients doing these yo-yo diets, they would lose weight and then gain it back. 80% of weight loss programs in America, people gain all the weight back. 80% of the time, they gain the weight back. And I said, this is screw up. What I started seeing was it was actually becoming a bigger problem, because every time you lose weight and you gain it back from one of those fad diets, it becomes harder to lose each time. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's a really big deal. So a friend of mine and I, another doctor, we got together because we saw people, not only was it becoming unhealthy, but the medical system was promoting unhealthy weight loss by something called HCG. It's basically a pregnancy hormone that you get injected into you, and you lose weight like crazy. It's amazing, except the side effect is potential cancer. So his wife got cancer from doing this. And we both got together and said, you know what? We're done with this. Let's actually tackle and create let's give people actually truth about healthy weight loss and creating a healthy body. And so that's how this whole thing got started. I created the Fast 40 weight loss company. And you even see on Amazon, I've got the 4 secrets to healthy weight loss. I basically started dedicating my life, taking the same principles I saw in those 17 years of truly getting people healthy, getting people off of needless drugs and harmful medications and surgeries. As an example, there's over 30 to 40 million people on blood pressure pills. Do you know there's not 1 ounce and shred of evidence that blood pressure pills stop you from having any more heart attacks, strokes, or death? The same amount of people die from heart attacks and strokes on blood pressure pills as off. It makes no freaking difference. It's about drug companies getting wealthy and you staying sick. So this is my passion, my purpose, is speaking up and giving people the truth now.
There you go. Because they're going to be needing it too. And you're so right, especially with those darn meds. Like, dude, it's like seeing some of those meds without the darn insurance. Like, with my mother as an example with her eye drops, like, thank God for insurance, because freaking thousands of dollars.
Yeah. And the reason that that's a scam itself, my friend, the insurance is a scam. The reason you're being charged $1,000 is because you have insurance. It's important that people understand this. The reason that you are charged more money is because you have insurance. If you don't have insurance, you don't pay that price. I'm just telling you guys. So there's way more to this than people know. But when I started seeing all people, my patients doing these unhealthy weight loss programs, I said, you know what? Okay, let's create something good for people. So we created the fast40weightloss.com. This is a doctor's supervised hormone reset. And that could be something we could do, Dom, is run through these secrets that I found that are not being spoken to the public, and people are being lied to. They're being straight up lied to, not just about medications, but about, weight loss has now become almost like medicalized. Hey, come do this injection and you'll lose weight. Come do this injection. Don't actually change your physiology. Don't change your mindset. Don't make a permanent change. But when people do this, again, all the weight comes back and some. Now we've got 99 million Americans overweight, and it's not a cosmetic thing. Obesity has been linked to the top 3 leading causes of death. Obesity and overweight, excess fat, has been linked to heart attacks, strokes, cardiovascular problems, also cancers. There's many, many links to your body being unhealthy and developing, different types of cancers. So this is really more about a health program than it really is weight loss. Of course, that's why people come in. People find me from all over the world. I have people from Geneva, Switzerland, and Trinidad and Tobago, and Canada and Australia. And so we do this virtually now instead of having, I did the weight loss program in my clinic back when I had it. We figured out how to have this online. So we walk people through, again, doctor supervised hormone reset. So that's something, if you want, Dom, we could run through those secrets for people if that's interesting.
Yeah, man, let's tell them about Victoria.
Yes, about Victoria's Secret. Well, listen, I know Victoria's Secret. Victoria's Secret specifically is they send out gift cards for a free pair of panties, and then you get there and you buy 10 things. That's their secret. That's their business secret. That's it, right? So let's see. So let's run through it there, man. So basically, we created the book, The 4 Secrets to Healthy Weight Loss, and it's an important piece that people know this. Number one, I've worked personally with thousands of people. Most of my patients have done Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, metabolic centers. I've had people do this, the surgeries, gastric bypass, the sleeves. Some people have paid up to $32,000 to do all this and then gained all the weight back. $32,000 in gain. I have multiple people like this. So this is why I'm saying, you know what? Enough's enough. The truth sets people free. And that's what is not wanting to be spoken when in our medical community. And listen, I've had YouTube videos taken down from telling people the truth. I've had YouTube videos completely taken down. So I said, you know what? All right, that's enough. I'm going to start launching my own books, my own series, my own podcast, So let's run through those secrets, man. So first secret is, it's important that you understand you got to determine the right type of weight loss. So the first secret is most people just want to lose weight. But you can't just lose weight, because that makes no sense. You need weight. Like, you got bones and muscles and organs, and you need your weight, So what kind of weight do you want to lose? You can lose water, you can lose muscle, and you can lose fat. Okay. And there's many reasons for this, but one of the big trends right now is people doing fasting. There are many spiritual reasons for fasting.
Yep.
There are some physiological reasons for fasting, but I'm going to tell you right now, I don't promote fasting for weight loss for many reasons. Number one, I sit on the phone with people on these consults, my staff, my team, and this is what I hear. I go, what are you doing to lose weight that hasn't permanently worked? They go, oh, I love fasting. And I go, how's it working? Oh, I've lost a lot of weight. I'm like, then why are you on the call with me? Oh, because I've gained it all back. And I'm like, well, right?
Ouch.
Yeah. So has it really worked for you? That's the thing. So there's people that are just loving fasting. I'm like, why do you love it? I feel great, but I gain all the weight back. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Why? What kind of career or job would you be in if the wherever work you did just all tumbled away in 30 to 40 days? In 2 months, it all just went away. It didn't work. You wouldn't have a job.
Yep.
So yeah, so this is the thing. So losing weight the right way. So number one, fasting ends up promoting muscle loss. Muscle loss is incredibly unhealthy. The reason people end up getting so fatigued eventually in fasting is over the course of 7 to 14 days, you'll lose some fat, but eventually start digging your protein storages, okay? And this is a very important piece. There is something in your brain called the anti-starvation mechanism. So Dom, as cave people, we evolved over time from animals. There's an animal part of our brain that when we don't get food, it says, oh crap, I need to store fat for survival. So when you starve yourself, you will store fat. I want people to really hear this. You burn fat just for a little bit, but you eventually store fat. In other words, if you want to get really, really fat, starve yourself. Now, people go, that doesn't
Wow.
make any sense. Yeah, it doesn't, that doesn't make sense. Well, I watch it every day. Watch people eat like rabbits and watch people starve themselves, and they end up 30, 40, 50 pounds over. They end up getting fatter over the course of 5, 10, 15 years. That's the long term. When people go, oh, no, if I just reduce calories, I'm going to lose weight. No, if you reduce calories, what happens is you'll lose a little bit of fat. But once your body realizes you're not getting enough food, your brain says, let me store the fat. So the first thing is you must make sure that whatever you're doing, you're losing fat, not muscle. So you got to stop reducing your calories beyond your expenditure. It's triggering the ancestral mechanism for you to store fat, not burn fat. You following me there?
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty big.
Definitely.
So that's secret number one. The secret number two is that when you enter this planet as a little baby, all of us are intended to be the great power that bees. It intended us to be fat burner. Fat is God's most amazing fuel source. I don't know if people know this. Is the most clean burning, healthy fuel source you have is fat. Fat has double the energy content than a protein or carbohydrate.
Wow.
When when you're burning fat, your mind is on track, man. You feel like you're on a high. You're like, holy cow, I'm sharp. Your brain works best off of fat. Your body runs amazing off of fat. Fat has the least amount of byproduct than any other fuel source. Byproducts create free radicals, which create cancers. Okay. You feel energized. You wake up without coffee and you go to bed and you sleep well. You have energy throughout the day. You have energy crashes. That's what burning fat is. Okay. Over the course of time, over the course of years, because of our society, at least in America, we had a little food thing called the food guide pyramid. Do you remember that from the FDA, the food guide pyramid?
I remember they would hang that in the lunchroom. They would even talk about it in class in grade school. That was hilarious looking back at that
Yes.
thing.
Exactly. Now, if you look at this thing, you and I grew up with this. It's been over the course of 30 plus years. That was how they told us to eat. At the very bottom, so the very top was fats. The tiny pyramid was fats. The smallest portion of your meals was fats. The largest portion of your meal was bread, cereal, rice, and pasta. Things that turn into sugar. This FDA, this food guide pyramid, was promoted by companies who sold those brands: bread, cereal, rice, and pasta. It wasn't from a health organization. So just so people hear this, over the course of years, whatever you give your body enough of, it eventually becomes efficient at burning. Okay. So over the course of years, if you give your body enough sugar via bread, cereal, rice, and pasta, it starts becoming a sugar burner. So what's happened over the course of the years, the second secret is you got to determine what type of burner you are. Are you a fat burner or are you a sugar burner? How do you know? If you're a fat burner, you have phenomenal sleep. You go to bed easily. You wake up with energy. You have less emotional ups and downs. Emotions happen, but you don't get depression, anxiety, you don't go up and down. If you're a sugar burner, you need a lot of coffee in the morning. You have terrible sleep. You have energy crashes between noon or 4, some kind of energy crash. You have excess dis-ease processes, achy joints, back pains, headaches, digestive problems, because sugar has nasty byproducts. So people's physiology, their brain actually switches over to being a sugar burner. So that's the second secret is you got to determine, are you a sugar burner or a fat burner? You're following me there?
Of course, indeed. I was getting the visual too. It's like, oh, I think I know what's wrong with this person now.
Yeah, right. And another big secret, if you want to know if you're a sugar burner, look at your body. If you've got 10, 5, 10, 15, 20 pounds of excess fat, the question is on your body, why is God's most amazing fuel source sitting on your body and not being used by it? It's because you've actually had a hormone reset, and which leads me to the third secret, which is you need to reset your hormones. Okay, so let's talk about this. Most men think, well, hormones are a female thing. Well, gentlemen, we have hormones too. We do. And this has nothing to do with menopause and age and that kind of stuff. Over the years of you following your government's food guide pyramid, you were basically slowly making your body a sugar burner, is what we were all doing. Sugar might be, to me, one of the most addictive substances on the planet. Sugar uses the same receptors as cocaine in the brain. So when you withdraw from sugar, you have the same withdrawal symptoms as when you're doing cocaine. Same deal. Headaches, fatigue, all kinds of stuff. You have emotional ups and downs. The mind will screw with you. It's the big deal. Now, we've known this for many years, the effects of sugar, okay? And I want to tell this is something that's important for people should look this up. In 1960, Harvard researchers did a research project. They were wondering, they're concerned why so many people were starting to have heart problems in the 1960s. Cardiovascular problems are on the rise. So they did a study, Dom. They said, let's find out, is it fat or is it sugar that's causing these heart problems? Now, the study showed that sugar was what was causing excess fat in the body. I want people to hear this. It was sugar that, so the Harvard research showed it was fat was causing excess, sugar causing excess fat in the body, which was actually causing the excess cardiovascular problems. It was sugar. Now, in the late 1990s, there was a Harvard researcher that was in the basement, okay, that was looking through papers, and she found this. She found where the research study said that sugar was causing the heart problems, okay? When it was published in the 1960s, the article was published in the American Journal of Medicine. And when you get a journal published, it's a big deal. People follow it. They found that a company called the Sugar Foundation paid Harvard researchers to falsify the evidence. So when the report came out, it said that fat is causing you to be fat. Now, the Sugar Foundation was a parent company that owned all the companies that create our food in America. Most of the big companies that create our cereals and our breads and pastas and rice and all that. And this one article is what created the low-fat craze. So they paid them to falsify it, to say that fat was the problem. And then they started advertising fat-free. Now the article came out, fat-free. That's why people think fat-free is a good idea. Fat-free is a terrible, terrible freaking idea. It's a terrible idea. And what happened was when they removed the fat, they added sugar back in your food. They knew sugar was addictive. And now we're able to sell, but it's about selling more product to Americans. It's about selling more product. So this is what's created sugar burning people. So that's the biggest thing, is it actually resets your hormones. In the third secret, your hormones, both men and women, doesn't matter what age, your hormones will actually, your brain chemistry looks away from fat and it says, you know what, fat we're not using anymore. We're going to start burning sugar. So whatever you give your body enough of, it becomes efficient at burning. So it's important, people, you guys can research that, look it up. Dr. Christine Kearns was the one that found that. And by the way, no one got in trouble, because by the time we figured this out, all the researchers were dead or retired, and there's no one to blame anymore. And the damage is done. And people still think that low fat is a good idea. When I see low fat on food, I run the other direction. Stop getting stuff that's low fat, because they're adding sugar in it. Eat your fat. You need your fat. Your fat wasn't making you fat. Sugar is making you fat. So that's the third secret there.
Yeah. Any thoughts on trans fat? Because I remember I feel like that was a thing for a short time for some reason.
Yeah, when they started with fried foods, of course, fried foods, the amount of chemicals that's inside of fried food, the trans fatty acids, these aren't healthy fats, because you have something that has healthy fats and non-healthy fats. So, a steak with good fat in it is great fat. Avocado is great fats. Nuts have great fats. A lot of foods have natural fats. The fried foods, which I'm from New Orleans, so I mean, I know all about fried foods. It took me a while to get up myself off fried foods. There's a lot of addictive qualities in that too. Good fried chicken and biscuits and all that stuff, right? So, but food can taste good. The thing is, once you reset your hormones, that's what we do in our program. We actually have a proprietary drops and supplement that actually changes someone's hormones and switches it back from sugar to fat. And it's interesting because people go, oh my God, there's no way I can not eat sugar anymore. I'm like, you're listening to the sugar talk. That's not you. Right?
There you go.
Like,
Yep.
yeah, you switch your hormones, man. Where hormones are switched, people go, oh my God, a strawberry tastes better than a Twinkie now. I'm like, yes. But when you're
Uh,
addicted to sugar, you got to have the Oreo, the Twinkie, the cookies. You got to have it all. And alcohol tastes better too, by the way. Alcohol breaks directly down to sugar. So the sugar receptors now have taken over most people's bodies and they're telling you what to eat. So sugar addiction is if you do a weight loss program and you don't reset your hormones, which there's almost no program that resets your hormones, you will basically gain the weight back. That's the secret I found to permanent weight loss, was actually changing your hormones. We do it in 40 days with people. At the end of 40 days, hormones are reset, sugar is being cleared out, and most people's, I got people that are off blood pressure medications, thyroid medications. I have many people who are like, Dr. Golman, my joints don't hurt anymore. Should I take the arthritis medication? I said, hey, talk to your doctor. I don't know. But if you're taking it because of pain, right? Was the medicine preventing arthritis? No. The medicine was stopping you from having pain. If you don't have pain anymore, should you take it? You decide.
there you go. There you go, indeed, because it's so
Yeah.
true right there. But so many great secrets, man. It's like, heck,
Yeah.
even, oh man, especially the first one, like the fact that that is so true that a lot of folks like, I need to lose weight, I need to lose weight. It actually reminded me of a colleague where he actually focused on losing his water weight first. And I like the first time I ever heard of that, and then hearing it again, it's like, oh, you know what? That does make sense because it's like, hey, what kind of weight are you trying to lose? Because there is a major difference. A lot of folks don't even know the difference.
Good point. Yeah, good point, man. People think, yeah, water is our vital source of of fluids in the body. You mean water is, it's why we have digestion in the stomach and the intestinal tracts, why your blood flows. You need those elements of water. Matter of fact, we have people drinking on our program half their body weight in ounces in water every single day, a lot of water, because
Hmm.
it's so funny. The first time and in the first few days, people are like, I have people will lose a pound a day for the first week, and they go, Dr. Goldman, this must be water weight. I'm like, no, you're drinking half your body weight in ounces. You're replenishing your water. When your brain breaks down fat, so if you have a physical fat, like actual physical solid fat, when your brain actually breaks down fat, it breaks it down into liquid. So people pee out their fat. It's very important. You have high levels of fluids going in you so you can actually pee the fat out. So you got to keep the water in there. And yeah, I mean, people probably know, but dehydration, that's a terrible symptom. I mean, you've stripped a lot of your electrolytes in your system to lose your water, right? So I love that you said that.
Yeah, man. That's right, indeed. That's right. I feel like that should be on a t-shirt. Pee your fat out, even though
Pee
folks
your
wouldn't.
fat out. Yeah, yeah.
It'll probably throw people off. Like, hey, what do you mean, bro?
We'll
What's
go
your
make some bumper
pieces?
stickers. We'll make some bumper stickers. Pee your fat out.
Yes, indeed. Oh man. And the fact that I was actually going through like the first few chapters of Genesis again, and it was talking about the whole Cain and Abel thing, and it was like, I think it was Abel who was sacrificing the animals and the fats towards God. And it's like you mentioned fat being the ultimate fuel source, and it's like, wait a second. It's
Oh,
hilarious how these things align.
nice connection, man. Great connection. So wait, what was the phrase you connected in? What was it you said?
Yeah, because like Cain and Abel in the book of Genesis, somewhere in the probably like chapter 4 or 5, like Abel was sacrificing animals and the fats of the animals, and then that connected
Oh,
what you mentioned earlier about
wow.
fat being the fuel source. And I'm like, wow, it's kind of interesting the timing of you mentioning that and then reading that
Bro.
chapter a couple
Yes.
days ago, man. Because
Damn. I love that you told me that because now I'm gonna go look for it. Genesis, I love that. Those are the little things. You guys, you probably know this, my friend, but do you know that are chapters of the Bible that have been left out on purpose? And
oh
they're
yeah.
just now. Yeah. And it was chapters that would really free people from enslavement of being a part of specific churches and religions. And like you go back and
Mhm.
look at it, I was like, hey, God God did not. When I always love saying this, listen, religion is of God, but God is not of religion. Because when you look at it, you got people on this side of the world saying this is right, this is God's word, and the exact opposite thing on this side of the world saying this is God's word. And you go, wait a minute, I think people are getting involved in God's word.
Uh-huh.
So there's chapters of the Bible being released now that are freeing people from enslavement of ideas. So I love that you said that. Those little amazing little things that are in there about fat. I mean, that's the truth. That's really cool. By the way, I read Genesis when I was 19 and in the Mojave Desert on a tank. You know, it was just a lot of time as hot as you know what. And I
Yeah.
read through Genesis and it was like, it was amazing time to read through Genesis, right? It was like, this is incredible time to read this at free time, you know? So yeah, I love that you said good connection, Dom. Good connection.
Oh, heck yeah, man, because I know you're a spiritual guy, too. I forgot that guy's name because I remember you on another podcast, and then he mentioned Alan Watts, but, like, also just the power of the words you speak can also help others to heal, too. So it's like there's, like, a lot of stuff out there that's
Mhm.
just plain hidden, and it's like folks need to get free from it now because we're really in the age of even more information that's finally coming out of hiding. And just the fact of that study alone that you mentioned from Harvard, where they're like, hey, can you like falsify this for a quick second, bro? We'll pay y'all some more money that you probably don't even need anyway. But yeah, just go ahead and falsify it so we can like stay in business for like ever. We gotta
Yeah,
keep these people fat here. The bad fat.
exactly. Exactly. And I love where you're going with that, man, because just, I'm a very, we run a group, my partner and I, called Quantum Life Mastermind.
Hmm.
And I've been studying metaphysical principles. I've read through 7 major religions. And I feel so connected to God. Many times I go into church and I go, I feel connected to God when I'm walking in the streets. When I'm talking to you, Dom, I feel more connection with God when I do in a church. It's because God it doesn't exist in certain places, not certain places. It says in the Bible. Most religions, it says, I am everywhere, I am everything. And it says, I created heaven and hell, good and bad. So I really, when I'm looking, the reason I'm bringing this up with you is I started seeing how positivity is completely one-sided. People think about, oh, I want to have a good life. If you want a good life, you're missing out on the half of God.
Hmm.
Good is only half of God. You need to embrace and be with the negative and the bad. The parts of self that you have made wrong, the parts of self you made wrong is the other half of God. And we created a mastermind to elevate people, to bring people these new level principles. Like you said, this is age of information. I really feel that people are beginning to be freed up from enslavement. And enslavement means many things to different people. But the biggest enslavement has been the enslavement of ideas, the enslavement of belief systems, what people think they are and think they aren't. If you knew how powerful you were, you would not subordinate to those who you think are above you. And it's a very empowering thing when you, to me is what I think Martin Luther King was really talking about was this. Like, I know what he was talking about, the freedom, the true freedom of self from enslavement, what you think and you are and think you aren't. When you think someone's above you, you put yourself below. When you think you're below someone, you put someone else above you. This is truly so to seeing that we are mirrors of each other. The thing I see in you is this thing that is in me. If I criticize you, I'm criticizing myself. There's many parts of the Bible that talk about this. Like it says, pick the mote. I think it calls the mote. I say the rock. Pick the gigantic boulder out of your eye before you start noting out the other person's tiny little pebble in their eye. You're seeing yourself. That's all what these old ages of the wisdoms were teaching. And so we love bringing these teachings in our Quantum Life Mastermind. And why I focused on the weight loss was because I saw that when people are trying to seek spirituality, if you don't have your health, it is very hard to seek spirituality in connection with God. And I want to say this to people. When you are sick, you're just seeking survival. I just want to have my headache gone. I want to be able to walk again. You're not seeking higher level principles. And I can say this with all certainty. And I was sick in 2019 for a year and a half. I was in bed, didn't walk for 6 months. I had Lyme disease, parasitic infection, and black mold. And I tell you what, I talked to many different religious figures I was poisoned. My brain was poisoned. I couldn't spell my name. I was
Man.
poisoned. I was searching for anyone who talked to me. I talked to Jesus and Buddha and Gautama and Allah. I tried to talk to anybody. But it was funny because I didn't hear anybody. And what kept pointing to is myself, what was inside me. And what was inside me, Dom, is all the things I blocked out, all the parts of self that I thought were negative, all the stuff I thought was negative with other people. That was being shown to me. It's in the darkness that you find the light. These messages mean something more. Go inside yourself. You see, you're criticizing someone else for something. It's because you haven't seen it in yourself. When you see it in yourself, you start finding yourself. Jesus said, lose yourself to find yourself. Well, I had to lose myself. I had to lose the fantasy of Dr. Cody Golman being good and positive and happy and all this bullshit. You want to know the most depressed people are the ones that are seeking happiness, because it's false. Happiness is a polarity. Most of us are trapped in polarity of good and bad. And when you really start collapsing this, you start realizing what's in between good and bad is love. That's the truth. And so we talk about weight loss. I do this because I want people to become healthy so they can start seeking higher level principles. So they can start really understanding what the Bible is really trying to say. The thing behind what maybe pastors maybe know or don't know, I don't know. But it's the freedom of the soul to really feel yourself as you are. And if you know yourself as you are, I think people would drop to their knees and cry to know yourself as you are.
Yeah, that's right indeed. To know yourself as you are. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. Those tears of freedom, y'all. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. So my goodness, man, the man's basically a walking book of Proverbs. So my goodness, so what happened in 2019? What caused all of that, man? It sounds like you went
Yeah.
through hell on earth, bro.
Yes. Amen, brother. Amen. This is exactly, I'm glad you asked it. So I have other companies I run, and I was going to China. I have product companies. I was going to China, sourcing products and selling them here on Amazon. And while I was in China, I ate something that gave me a parasite infection. I brought it back with me and started eating my nutrients. You got to understand, in this country, we have something called a health department. Many other countries never initiated health departments. So their people live with parasites. They learn to live with. Mexico's the same way. People live with parasites there. They've learned to be symbiotic with it. We don't have that here. We have health departments. We're not used to living with parasites. So I got a parasite, started eating my nutrients. And when something eats your nutrients, you become malnourished. It's important that in this story, you understand, I was teaching seminars on positivity and self-improvement. I was teaching people to be happy and positive. I was teaching one-sided bias living. I was teaching the fantasy. And so it's important to even know that as I was teaching that, I was neglecting the negative part of myself. So what Life So Beautifully did was brought me into the darkness. And it was in that darkness that I actually started accepting all parts of myself. When I saw parts of myself, I started feeling in the darkness, I started feeling light. So I'm promoting to people, and this is get rid of your fantasy of being a good person, because you're not. You're good and you're bad. You're happy and you're sad. You have all of it. Whenever we try to live in a positive way, we know that opposites attract. The more positive you try to become, the more negative you attract. This is why people go, oh, I don't know why bad things happen to good people. It's because you're trying to live one-sided biased living, right? So anyway, I know we're at the hour. I know I got to go and you got to go. I just want to end it with that. So.
Okay, I was just curious. All right, cool. So I guess be careful what you eat in different parts of the world then.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and be careful if you're trying to live a false fantasy of one-sided biased living. If you're trying to be good, it's not possible, my friends. You're trying to be holy, it's not possible. You're trying to be only one-sided, it's not possible. We are two-sided beings. And this is the thing, it's going to bite you in the butt with dis-ease. This is our body. Your body will give you feedback. Your body will give you feedback. Love all parts of self. The parts of self you think you don't like, those are the parts that will bite you in the butt. That's the big message.
There you go. There you go. So any questions that you wish folks would ask you more often when you're on these podcasts, my friend?
No, and let's see, I'm trying to think. Come if you guys are interested, go to fast40weightloss.com. You can go to drcodygolman.com, or even go to the quantumlifemastermind.com. And that's it. Love to be able to connect with anybody.
Okay, cool. Well, then, I guess two quick questions. I'll let you make a run for it then. So, the fun question: if your fabulous book, Four Secrets to Healthy Weight Loss, if it were a food, what would it be and why?
Oh, that's a cool question. Okay, I got you. I got you. If we're a food, let's see. Hmm. That's a tough one because it's a weight loss book, right? So you know what?
Right.
It'd probably a big piece of healthy fat, probably an avocado, probably, or maybe a good juicy steak, because in that juicy steak, you'd see like, man, God's energy source is inside this steak. And so many of us is judged. So I got so many people that are like, oh, I'm vegetarian, I don't eat meat. I'm like, woo, you're about to be really sick. I know a lot of vegetarians that'll irritate them, but I got a lot of vegetarians who are really fat. I gotta say this, and are really unhealthy. So I'm not saying you should or shouldn't do something, but boy, I think it'd be a good juicy steak if it was.
There he goes. I'm talking about indeed. And the magical question that every guest gets to receive, and that is if you were to wake up tomorrow and you were 25 again, but you're still in the current year, what advice would you give to yourself?
Mm. Oh, and still in the current year, but I was woke up doing 25. This would be the biggest piece of advice I can give for sure. It's what I learned in those dark states. If I just paint the picture for you, Dom, being in bed, people don't realize this, but I mean, I was an incredible athlete. I'm fit and healthy. Not being able to walk for 6 months. Just paint this picture for you guys. Not being able to walk for 6 months, what it does to you, what it does to your mind. And then the bacterial poison my mind where I couldn't spell my name. There was months where I tried to write my name. I couldn't tell which way a D or a B went. Okay. So people really feel this. You want to feel hell. Like you said, this is truly hell. We create heaven and hell here. It's not somewhere we're going. I'm certain of that. It's what we create right now. It even says it in many religious scriptures. Heaven and hell is what we build here. So in that, and really feeling into that, the biggest thing is when I saw the truth of life. And when I say the truth of life, when I saw that I was trying to teach one side of life, and one side of life is one side of half of God, trying to be good, trying to be positive, it will only bring negativity. And it's hard for people to hear what I'm saying when I say this, because they go, that doesn't make sense. Well, let's look at it this way. Let's say this pen I'm holding is a magnet. You got a positive pole and a negative pole. Okay. If I cut this magnet in half, people go, oh, you have two positive poles. Nope. You can't separate a magnet. If you cut this magnet in half, it has a positive pole and a negative pole. We now have two magnets that have both poles. And I ask people, well, what happens when you put two positive poles together? They repel. They literally repel. Okay. But when you bring a positive pole of one magnet and a negative pole of another magnet together, they attract. Opposites attract in the universe. If you are infatuated with trying to be positive and be good, if you're trying to have a positive, good relationship, guess what you're going to attract? The negative. You're trying to have a fantasy, you'll attract the nightmare. My nightmare was the fantasy I had was being with ultimately sick. Ultimately positive and ultimately healthy. Me trying to be that pole attracted the opposite of being incredibly sick. This is what many, many illnesses are trying to bring to people, is to show them the other parts of self they've negated. So I think symptoms are so important to listen to. So my advice to myself at 25, it would be to actually embody and embrace the parts of yourself you don't like, and stop the fantasy and the mask that you're trying to show people. I want to show people how great I am. Show people that you're both good and bad. Show people the real parts of self. When you show people the real parts of self, listen, the person in front of you trying to impress has just as many parts of self they don't like as you do. And it's like we walk around trying to show only half of self. When you really want to truly connect, have an inspiring life, truly show all parts of self, because when you allow yourself to be fully who you are, it allows people to be themselves. My most inspiring seminars were where I actually broke down and told the truth about self. When I said, you know what? I'm feeling like shit right now. I don't want to wake up and do this. I'm going through a divorce. At the end of those talks, that's when people came up and said, Dr. Golman, that was the most incredible talk you had. I cried at the end. And the reason why is because I gave them permission to be real about their life, to be real about themselves. They're going through relationship struggles. They're arguing with husbands and wives. They're having challenges. They're having challenges trying to eat right. They're having challenges living right. We all have that. Be real with yourself. And I tell you, it's be a much more satisfying life if we're just real with ourselves. So that's my advice to myself.
Boom. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. Y'all getting that hot fire today, y'all. That's right, indeed. And the good news is you only got 1% of the 100% that Dr. Cody has to offer. So for those who need to dive into the other 99% plus ultra, what's the best way for folks to do so, Dr. Cody?
The best way, Dr. Cody Golman is probably the easiest, drcodygolman.com. There you can access, and if you want to look into our mastermind, or if you're interested in the weight loss, the fast40weightloss.com, you can look that up. And we do free consults with people to determine if you're a good fit, if we can actually help you. And so that's the best way to reach us. You can contact us and reach me, myself, or my team.
Sweet. Well, there you go, my friends. Head over to drcodygolman.com. We'll put a link to that in the show notes. That way you can do just that and cop some copies of his magical book for your friends, family, cat, and dog if they're looking to get some weight loss in their life, especially if it's the proper weight that they want to lose, indeed. Well, any parting words before we close up shop, my friend?
Man, I got to say, Dom, I appreciate our conversation. And I'm going to say this to you. I can feel you, the being you are, behind our masks, right? We all have masks. We have masks. They look like different colors. They look like different personalities, but I can feel your presence, your heart, depth of connection, your passion for life. And I appreciate your enthusiasm and your joy that you bring to people, man. They got that little kid inside that loves to laugh, right? And loves and brings, listen, this whole thing in the end, if we really were like to, if I think we really get down and speak with God, I think there'd be laughter in it, because there's a little bit of a joke in this whole thing, this whole cosmic joke. We go around and there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of pleasure, but in the end, you go, this body comes and goes, but the immortal soul of who you are, it's been the beginning. If there was a beginning, and there's no end, no beginning, it's always been around. And so I appreciate getting to see your immortal soul, man. I appreciate who you are and what you do.
If you're hearing this part of the episode, that means you're one cool individual. Thanks a bunch for tuning in, and if you enjoyed what you heard, be sure to share it with at least one other person in your network. Bonus points for 3. And be sure to check out the backlog too while you're at it, because there are hundreds of wonderful episodes to choose from as well.